age. He doesn't seem to get older. I mean, that guy's like 40 years old. He looks like he's 30, yeah.
Holy crap. I thought he was contemporary with all of us.
No, he's been around for a while. He's been on the SPO TV network for quite some time, doing not just esports, but other stuff. I think UFC as well. A lot of the hosts over here at SPO TV come from UFC.
UFC?
By the way that works. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Oh. We'll be seeing the Kench perhaps being unbenched. CoreJJ has played a bunch of the Kench.
But CoreJJ has been such a pillar for Samsung. You know, out of nowhere, it was last year towards the Gauntlet that CoreJJ really started to shine through. Before, it was Wraith that was the support, and they were having a lot of struggles, and it felt like the morale was being dropped by the support. They cited many times that CoreJJ just turned things around. He took the opportunity to step off as a substitute, come onto the team, and since then, he has been a shining star for this team. Rarely does he have games that are below standard. He's always there or shining like we saw earlier that gives him MVP points. I mean, 400 MVP points for a support is pretty damn good.
And he picks up one of his big picks, right? They ban away his Zyra, they ban away his Braum, so he picks the other one, the Tahm Kench. He's 7-2 on it. Seems very happy to do so. Lots of threats already on the side of ROX Tigers. You get death sentence, well, you'll get devoured. You get taunted, you'll get devoured. You get cast away, that'll be a little bit harder for him to deal with, but CoreJJ, as you said, he's got the Dignitas touch. We'll see if that helps him out this time.
Well, he'll devour people out of the Gragas ultimate, and the answer into the Galio is going to be that Lucian. So Samsung go with a great composition to run double AD carry with so much protect. It's exactly what you want to see. Not so much what ROX had previously, but when you have CC that can assist these guys, that can peel, that can set them up, they've got everything they could ever want, whereas the ROX Tigers rely a little bit more on the coordination between their engage. They have a plethora of hard engage this time around with Orianna, Galio, and Gragas, although it is a Galio top into the Maokai, a matchup that is far and few, although unfortunately it is not exciting at all. It's trees versus statues. We know how that goes.
Yeah, you got to wait a couple 100 years perhaps before the vines, they take over eventually. They'll slowly chip away at the statue until they reclaim their ground. As would be the case in any apocalypse scenario, the cities would be eaten alive by nature. So
those are some pretty images, though, when you see those small little plants breaking through the crevices of the pavement, and then you have a little flower blooming through. That's nice. Could a Cuvée be the flower blooming in our concrete today?
I think he's going to be doing a little bit more than that, but we'll see how many flowers he can poke out of the ground exactly with his Maokai, as the Cats will be the ones taking over the Rift tonight, perhaps. So let's do it. It's going to be ROX on the blue side, Samsung on the red. Let's jump into game number 2 right now. Here we go. Let's jump into game number 2. Getting a look at our supports to begin with. Definitely one of the key matchups here for this one.
Key using the Samsung Galaxy Thresh, maybe trying to trigger some hidden emotions inside Samsung.
No doubt. You got to use those plays, those tilt plays. We talked about them before.
Absolutely. It's psychological. There are no rules. Everything at your disposal must be used in the name of victory.
I wonder if you're allowed to name yourself something totally ridiculous, like something really long, you know what I mean? Like Waka 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 or something like that.
Wow, that is really not what I expected you to say. My God. Waka Waka.
Yeah, but all in caps, you know, so it like spans, you know, half the screen. I guess it wouldn't, but it would be kind of annoying to look at. Although I guess when you're playing League, the names don't necessarily show up above the heads, so I guess we'll have to take that play out of our playbook. Okay, Ambition, you're getting a little bit frisky, getting into the jungle. Look at how much damage he's already taken. He's trying to trade it back onto Mighty Bear, but you can see that lava is here. Fortunately, Mighty Bear doesn't have enough to come on over, but here comes Linderong from the top side. Kive not even moving. He's still level 1. Has to stay on that wave, but somehow Ambition survives.
He's level 2 with red buff, so he's able to do a lot of damage with his little critters and get some extra health back. So he was trying to go for something cheeky, but the ROX Tigers had vision there that were able to spot him out. And lucky for him, members were still at level 1, unable to provide more than just one ability to take him down. So he's lucky that he gets to walk away with his life, and all he has to pay for it is a flash.
Small price to play, no doubt. He's overdoing his own blue at this point. So that'll be cool. Both the 80 carries on the side of Samsung picking up the Doran's blade. No Doran's shield for them.
See, the idea that I had with the names, now I wanted to keep this idea private because I think it's a great idea, but I might as well release it into the wild and see what happens.
You guys are getting the breaking news release of Crumbs' idea.
So, just like in traditional sports, you've got people that have their own positions. You've got your top, jungle, mid, AD carry, support.
Yep.
Now, in a lot of sports, people don't care too much about the particular person. It's about the position. People identify with the position. If you're a soccer player, you identify with the goalie of a team, and you get to know the name, and that's about it. But what if you have a team that decides that everybody from that team has to have that name, similar to Power Rangers? So instead of being top laner that has your own personal name, you are, I don't know, top laner yellow, just for lack of a better word. So you get to have these individual positions within a team so that everybody can identify with, and it becomes easier for anybody to plug and play themselves into the team. The marketing becomes a breeze, and you can do a whole lot of creative content around that in terms of advertising and marketing yourself, it would be, I cannot see how that wouldn't be a success. Although the only qualm would be players that could be like, oh yeah, but I want to be my own person. Just throw money at them, and then your problem's solved.
The solution to any problem, just throw money at them. Interesting kind of viewpoint towards the pro players. I suppose it works in many situations, but so you would name yourself top laner yellow?
Or you
would name yourself yellow, and then the mid laner is named red.
I mean, you'd have to be a little more creative with the names that you'd want for it, but to differentiate, you'd have colors so that it becomes obvious which one is which.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead, buy a team, and try it out.
What's to say that's not my plan?
Someone hurry up and steal his idea.
I swear to God, if that happens, I'm going to be fuming.
Okay, we got some aggression down here. You can see that the bottom lane for Samsung is doing pretty well. Crown was doing pretty well in mid lane, but ever since Lava has regened a lot of his health. Feeling pretty good. The top lane, we haven't really been looking up there at all because we talked about exactly what that lane is all about.
Yeah, we do not want to see the top lane. We do not care about the top lane. And Galio top doesn't even do a whole lot if you're not going to be invading the red side of the map because his heroic entrance can't cover that much distance. So without teleports being available, we're not going to see these two guys battle it out for quite some time, and especially because they're going to be buying Spectre Owls against each other, which makes that matchup even less thrilling. So instead, we get to see the exact same lane in mid lane, the reverse matchup of Lucian into Orianna, and then bottom lane, which is really where all of our attention is focused on, and for a right reason.
So, we have the rainy season ending here in Korea. How have you enjoyed it so far, Crumbs?
I spend my days indoors, but I did get to see a ton of people getting wet the other day because, not from the rain, they shut down the street and they were having a super soaker party.
Oh yeah, they did that in the area where we live.
Yeah, super soakers for everybody. You could buy a super soaker and start getting people wet, and then you'd get shot at if you were on the sides.
It's pretty legit. It's just like one gigantic water gun fight, right?
Yeah, except it's kind of lame because it's all strangers and then they're so polite. You don't want to be in one of those places if you're not with people that aren't going to be polite, because then it doesn't get out of hand. You need that to get out of hand. You need people to get routed and start shooting water at everything. You need those places to get shut down.
Oh, look at this gank. He coming in from the top side. That was the last thing Crown expected from the top side of the river. First blood goes over to Keith for him.
It's all about the angle of the dangle, and he reaches it with the Moby boot purchase early on, so he gets to go for that quick roam, whereas Corey JJ went with the Sightstone. Key gets Mobies and makes it work. And yeah, the angle to go from the left side, you just don't expect that one because look at the vision on the right. It's all littered after. So he waits patiently in the brush, and right at the final second, he was already leaving. The wave had already pushed, and in the end, it doesn't amount to anything. And hey, he even gets Core JJ's flash as he tried to save his mid laner with a Devour.
Key is doing his best to try to carry the ROX Tigers to a victory. He had some really good plays with his Unbreakable for the Braum in game number 1. He shut down Crown multiple times, and then he shut him down in this game in a different way with that gank. So, I'm sure perhaps some other teams are looking at Key with their eyes wide open.
Liquid can't afford a Key right now. They don't have enough import slots, so not just yet. Hold your horses. Actually, that's pretty good. Hold your horses, because Liquid is a horse for their logo.
There you go.
But yeah, ever since the days of ESC Ever, he's been a great support. With his Bard, it was one of the biggest playmakers at the time. I believe how they beat SKT was with the Bard Gangplank combination, in which you drop the Tempered Fate into the crazy barrels and then just bop everybody. And I think since that time, he's been inspired to just amass a wealth of supports under his belt. And now that the ROX Tigers have been struggling, when you see a team that struggles, the players that have the ability to shine through feel an extra need to stand out, to try to bounce back everybody else. And that's what Key is for ROX.
Well, he can't do it by himself. He's trying very, very hard, though. It's quite admirable. See if it works out. Whatever happened to Gangplank? Why don't we ever see him anymore?
Did you actually like seeing Gangplank?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a cool design with the barrels. I like the idea of the Tempered Fate as well. That's pretty cool. Flashy.
Well, GP got nerfed to hell, and with all the carries in the top side of the map, he no longer has an easy time laning as he is sitting fodder. Before, he was great into many tanks, and then the tanks kind of fell out. The nerfs for him came through, and a gank on Crown is about to happen too.
See what he can do. No flash. He is going to be able to dash this wall, but the flash play, but the hook is actually not going to land. But look at the heroic entrance. So much stuff being used, and it will be valuable for them. They get that kill, and here's the push on mid lane.
Oh, Crown must have thought, oh yes, we're going to have a gentleman's agreement in the mid lane. Their mirror matchup. I cannot wait to 1v1 you, Lava, but the entire ROX Tigers refuses to leave this lane alone and punishes him once more. They understand how important Lava is for this composition, and if they can execute this dive like this, that's exactly what their plan will be in the mid and late game. And here we go again. Key once again making the big play. Starts with the flash play. Sure, the hook misses, but the play and the shockwave are just enough to keep him in range of the heroic entrance. And while the ultimate from Gragas was also chucked in and missed, he still had mana for the body slam, so it did not matter in the end.
Yeah, worked it out as a team. All that stuff being used in total. Definitely going to be worth it. You're shutting down the Lucian hardcore. He's 0-2 so far. And, you know, with not much else going on, picking up a couple of kills here and there is not bad. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten... Okay, hold that thought. Coming in now with the Abyssal Voids. They're looking for Key, but there's the follow-up and the max range Q. But CoreJJ is there with the Devour. Is going to save Ruler's life. The TP coming in, perhaps a little bit late. We'll see if they can get onto anyone. Looking for the taunt onto CoreJJ, who flashes it into the cocoon. So nobody will meet their maker down here, but lots of action.
It is crazy that he was able to survive that engage. He looked like he was dead. He didn't have flash available, but in the end, his sidestepping kept him alive. Some missed CC from Samsung, and a trade that results in only Cube farming the top side of the map. He's already a bit of CS above the Gallia, but that's because Maokai in this matchup, he gets to heal 4 days. And wow, this turret, this Maokai, the trees have been creeping up on the concrete way faster than we anticipated.
Wow. This might be the first time you see a Maokai solo down a turret by himself, but multiple roams out of Linderong will open this up for him. So, good play. Good show, mate. And Cuvée going to pick up a lot of gold for himself, so sure to be extremely tanky. Mighty Bear, though, is all alone, is going to be able to pop himself out of there.
Just barely had enough mana to actually get out of that sticky situation. And now that the first brick went down into the top side of the map, because so many times we see the dual lanes turret go down and resulting into a swap, Samsung will now have to reevaluate their priorities. I think we can expect their bottom lane to stay in here, but first we're going to look at the replay to the bottom side. So the arrow barely whiffs, the cocoon does as well, and in the end he answers back with the hook that turns him right next to the Tahm Kench. It all started with the arrow coming out, but this play could have been so much better had the teleport from Linderang come through, but it looked like he was not completely in sync because he was still inside of Maokai, and the turret went down in the end. And had ROX Tigers fully committed to make this play happen, they would have understood that they were going to be making a trade, that they could have pushed in for that bottom tier 1 and try to get it faster than Cuvée by himself in top.
Yeah, so the woes continue. Even though the ROX Tigers are up a couple of kills, they're down on gold. And overall map control, objective control. A second Ocean Drake is going to come up, which is quite interesting. This laning phase has been around for quite a bit of time. Looks like Samsung might make their way over to that. But first, we do have a blue buff steal attempt by the ROX Tigers. And because Crown is not answering, looks like Mighty Bear is just going to take him himself, even though Lava did walk all the way over there. Naughty jungler. But of course, he does have his own blue buff.
So I want to reiterate what happens when you take the top lane tower, because now that bottom is still available, both teams want to keep their dual lane in bot side so that they can get this next tower. They basically got a freebie already, and that will put a priority on the Dragon as well. And unfortunately, because dual lanes don't have interest in topside, it will keep them from going to the Rift Herald. So this game, I think it would be quite likely for us to see the Rift Herald not being taken at all.
Yeah, definitely may happen. Do have the Maokai. Every time we go up and look at him, especially because he got that early turret, doing very nicely against Linderong in every single trade, and you can see Ambition is making a case to take this second Ocean Drake now. The rest of them are going to be spotted rotating coming over here, but you do see that Samsung has got help. So Mighty Bear by himself, and they're looking for the hook. His key is going to go wide, and the smite will go to the Smitey Bear, and they're trying to get out alive, but he's taking so much damage. The Treant coming over, as well as the Maokai ultimate. It's getting really close, but it doesn't look like quite enough. And in the end of it, the Tigers run away with an Ocean Drake.
They can't fully commit because you have to remember that Linderang has his ultimate available. So in the end, he only gets to get for the Baron for the Dragon Seal. It is only an Ocean, but hey, it's nothing to scoff at. And it looks like they're thinking about going for a dive. Cuvé's already down here. They got to go into Key.
Songyun taking that long trail away. There's the heroic entrance and the cast with the knock-up. Cuvée in a little bit of danger here, will be devoured up by CoreJJ, but here comes the rotation. Lava coming in from mid lane is going to speed himself up. Mighty Bear desperately trying to slow, but he cannot connect.
He cannot connect, and more attention to the bottom side opens up room for Crown. And with Dragon being taken and no priority to the top side, the damage that you do on mid lane is so important.
Uh-oh. Lava. Okay, he's fine.
That's why I was highlighting the Rift Herald. Without that objective, that typically cracks open the mid lane turret, you get to see these games stall out even further because it's so necessary to make sure that you can clear that tower, start getting serious map pressure against a heavy wave clear of an Orianna, and maybe even the Lucian, or when the Ashe starts joining in, then we can expect this game to be one of our lengthier ones. It's highly unlikely that we get to see ROX or Samsung crack this one wide open in the next 10 minutes and see a sub 30 or even sub 40 win. Not just because of the compositions, but because of what has happened with the turrets.
The wave pushing of Maokai is going to be good. Key coming in here trying to just relieve a lot of the pressure around the Dragon side. Get a bunch of vision himself, and they're looking to potentially make a play up towards top, but actually Mighty Bear isn't going over there. He's just placing a ward. He's like, yeah, Linderong, you can handle it yourself, right? You don't need my help, right? And now we'll just go for the blue buff. I hope he doesn't take this one away. Uh-oh,
No!
Kive! That was close.
Ooh. The hand grenade.
Doesn't do any damage when landing anymore, unfortunately, for Kive. Would have really liked to use that mana, especially looking for a dive towards mid, potentially. Has his ultimate ability up, but just takes the express train out of there.
3 people bot side, just chilling, waiting for each other, but this is the attempt onto Linderang, but I don't think much will happen. He can just get out with his heroic... Wait, there's nobody in range.
There's nobody there, and his dash will be denied, so now he's just trying to get over to Orianna, and you can see that they're not even going to try to help him. The Abyssal Void's coming in from Core JJ, and still Linderong is on the run. He flashes that wall, and he should be okay at this point. And look at that, Core JJ actually being taken out under turret, trying to save it by himself, and that means a turret goes over to the side of ROX Tigers, who take the gold lead.
And Crown, going for that roundabout, ended up losing the mid lane turret. They actually relied on Core JJ to bluff it. He goes in with the Abyssal Void, forcing ROX to respond and think, oh, maybe he's coming in with multiple members. Could this be dangerous? Oh, he's just by himself. So they take him out and lose mid tower. And Crown basically single-handedly cost the tower for the Samsung squad.
Let's take another look. The arrow goes wide, and I mean, he's all alone. Ambition tries to help him, but thankfully he avoids that shockwave, actually, Ambition, because he could have been roped into that one.
That would have been disastrous, and the Lucian into Orianna matchup not looking that great. Gold still remains the same, though, so it's not the end of the world for any one of these teams, as Samsung will be claiming their second tier 1 tower now in the bottom side. They still have plenty of opportunities to take this matchup, but a Baron start.
Look at this. Okay. They actually do have a decent chance to do this. Look at all those members. The Abyssal Voyage is down. I don't think they can get there in time. Crown and Kive have to try to steal this by themselves, but it's not likely. There's the smite. What a move by the ROX Tigers, immediately deciding to go for that one.
Beautiful right there. You could not describe it any other way. They see Samsung going for that, and we actually missed it, or I missed it on the minimap, that ROX was responding with a 20-minute Baron. They've got plenty of damage, plenty of tankiness to do it, and a whole lot of percent HP between Galio and Gragas. They can easily crack that one, and now Samsung is on the back foot. Sure, the gold, again, is still in pretty much even, but ROX have Baron. They still have 2 outer turrets to take, and that could be all they need in order to start getting a gold advantage. And if they can pressure these turrets properly, if they can push out past the tier 1s, get enough vision, by the time that Baron expires, they can also be rewarded with a Mountain Dragon to boast.
Yeah, and you can see if the Abyssal Voyage had been up, even then it would have been hard to really get on top of that squad, because all 5 of them responded so quickly that Ashe was still in the bottom lane by herself, pushing the turret, so she couldn't join in unless she had tried to rotate up herself. So kind of just out of the fight so far Only 3 kills in this game. You can see that the Ashe has not been part of one of them just yet. And here we go. The bottom turret is going to be taken out. So 1 objective taken so far, but Samsung definitely will make a hold here at this tier 2 turret. Let's see how they do it.
They have...
Well,
Galio, there is no hold.
I guess not.
They let go real quick.
Okay, the push continues. They do have this wave coming in. That was close. Ambition almost getting death sentenced here. And here will be the engage. The Featherstorm comes down, and Zangyun taking a bit of damage. Ambition trying to get a pick on the left side, but it looks like Cuvée still wants to go for this. His ultimate coming out. Roots a bunch of them, but no follow-up. So Samsung will set their sights onto this mid-tier 2 for the defense.
And before going for that, it looks like they're going to be going for the Mountain Dragon. Samsung have no room to enter this side of the jungle, so they will be giving that up. And now Linderang will be rotating to the top side. So I expect ROX Tigers to go for a full-on base and set their sights on the tier 1 top. Maybe look for that tier 2 into the top side as well. And that will make it a lot easier to transition to the tier 1 into the mid lane and start building up some much-needed gold on their bank.
They got Lava in a good spot so far. Already has picked up his Merlinomicon, picked up the Arm Guard as well as the needlessly large Rod. So thinking about going into another item. It's not going to be the Zhonya's just yet. Yeah, does that have that Aether Wisp on the left side as well? Lava sticking around, will find Ambition. You can see how much damage he's doing. Look at that output, down to about 5% health is Ambition. Almost gets poked out by Linderang. You gotta be careful. Can't just stand around against that Orianna. Meanwhile, that play up into the top side, Zangyun, with the help of Key, is taking out that top tier 1. We'll just add to the coffers of the ROX Tigers.
You know, that's what I really appreciate about the design team from Riot. When they make a champion like Elise, she truly feels like a spider. Sometimes she's super deadly and you're always afraid. She's always killing people, making people shiver in fear.
Okay, well, hold that thought. We got the big engage coming in the arrow as well. And lots of low members on the side of ROX Tigers. Now the heroic entrance and dashing away. He's going to bring in Cuvée. I don't think he's tanky enough to get out, but the Devour is going to come in and save his life down to about 100 health, and he makes it out.
There was no shockwave available for the ROX Tigers there, so Samsung felt like they could take that fight, but without Arrow and Maokai being in a position where the rest of the team can follow up, it's too difficult to funnel in through that location. There's just so much residual CC and damage that can hit any of the squishy members from Samsung that it's just not worth it for them to follow through.
Let's take a look at this replay.
So it starts with the twisted advance onto the Gragas, and then while the hook does whiff, the cask separates everybody as the disengage is already in place, but another twisted advance gets everybody out. And just imagine what would have happened had there been a shockwave available. Samsung just can't go through into that one. The initial attempt was nice, but after that, there's just no more instances for an engage. But yeah, Elise sometimes feels super dangerous, and then other times she's super easy to kill. You squash her.
Well, here comes the Saving Private Crown play by Core JJ. And it's not even needed at the end of it, as just too much of a rotation. Samsung actually looking to push mid lane now, as all 5 members were going for that gank, and now they're out of position.
They got a bit of a crown after that one, similar to how he ended up losing that tier 1 for Samsung. Then ROX go on another chase onto him and end up losing their own tier 1. So now both teams are sitting without a mid lane tower, which expands vision into the mid lane. And with Baron coming up in a minute now, there is a littering of vision on the red side from Samsung to protect that side. So we're going to have to see how good is ROX Tigers' vision coverage, and you can already tell from their wards on the inventory. The answer is, at least right now, not very good. You don't have enough control wards to make a play here, and okay, this is not going to amount to much. There's no follow-up.
Okay, he's looking for JJ, and yeah, you're exactly right. 0 follow-up. So uses the Righteous Glory. Now they're turning onto this Thresh. Look at that damage coming out, but the reduction, and he catches Ambition on the back of that one, getting extremely low, and there is the ball coming through. On the backside, though, able to take out Key is Crown, putting down that culling, and Cuve is still very tanky, but he can't get his ADs in position. In comes Linderong, is able to get that kill, and a couple of them going down underneath turret as Samsung. The follow-up from Cuve was just actually a bait.
That flash taunt from Linderang was beautiful. That actually got CoreJJ, who was getting close to try to devour Cuve, but it got him right before he was able to press his W, and they walk away with 2 more kills. And with junglers being down, they're looking towards this Baron. They're not even going to try to contest. There's not enough room for them to do this. The Ashe and Lucian do not have any presence to be able to get past Lava at this stage in the game, and this looks like ROX Tigers are in the lead against a team that's trying to make a case for first place. And Valdez, this is exactly what you said. They seem to be struggling against these bottom teams more than anybody else at the top.
Yeah, I don't really know why this is happening. You know, it doesn't seem like a case of, oh, we destroyed them in game number 1. Let's go into game number 2 and just have a ball, right? The draft was pretty good too. They have good ideas. They get the Elise. They have the Maokai as well. Everything's looking swell and dandy. And then when it comes into the game, it's like, this doesn't look like the Samsung we were watching in game 1.
Well, legitimately, they got outplayed. This time around, ROX Tigers played well. The roam from Key was stellar. Then the dive onto Crown, which you could argue many times that maybe they should have seen at least the second dive coming. The first one was all about ROX getting that play, and that was great by them. And from now, it has been them just looking for a plays to make. The Mighty Bear Gragas is paying off. They are being proactive in their moves. Their composition, while slightly different from what we see oftentimes with a Galio into the mid lane, and it's got a Galio top, is working out well. So while you can't take away some of the credit because Samsung is playing lackluster compared to what we expect from them, ROX have been doing plenty of work themselves to say that at the end of the game, if they win, they have earned it very well.
Yeah, so props to them. Wouldn't be the first time that they challenged a top-level team. They were able to take out KT before KT went on their 7-game, now 8-game winning streak, taking out Longju earlier on. So ROX Tigers, another one of these teams, much like Dinair, that goes up against the best of the best and somehow shows up in some of these games. So they're making things interesting for sure. Samsung, they definitely want to win this game and challenge Longju for that second place spot up at the top of LCK. But looking in a rough spot so far in game number 2.
They're already conceding this inhibitor, so ROX Tigers have no need to be afraid because Crown is top lane. It's a Lucian top. There's no need for them to be afraid. There's not even anything that Crown's going to be trading. It looks like he's playing as if it was 15 minutes ago, just trying to go for that one. And maybe that's a bit too harsh. In reality, they don't have any tools to actually win a fight at this stage in the game. So it does have some merit for Crown to be trying to farm and be away from the team because ROX Tigers have Baron. They have been spiking well. There is a Zhonya's completed. There is the Mortal Reminder already on Sangyun with the armor penetration as well. So they're quite strong, and they just didn't want to take that fight. And there's not a whole need to do so because with a Baron there, if you lose a fight at that time, if you're not completely certain, you can lose the game. And it's been no surprise to us that Samsung, one of their strongest elements is late game play. So why not just try to reach that point as safely as possible as your final last resort?
Yeah. Just thinking about ways that they can win late game fights, though, with all of the protection that the ROX Tigers have, right? The Lantern, you have the Feather Storm for the Xayah, you have Lava with a huge front line of Gragas and Galio to help her out. That heroic entrance with the damage reduction is going to be quite nice. So, Ambition, he's on the Elise, right? He tried to make stuff happen early game, was only able to supplement one of these kills, and as we get later on in this game, he has picked up a Void Staff, which is quite interesting. Trying to deal with these tanks in the front line, which is good. Trying to make himself more relevant towards the later game. But as Elise's in the late game kind of always go, he will mostly just be a Cocoon bot. We'll see if that works out in this one, because they're going to be relying heavily on Crown and Ruler to output most of the damage.
Crown should be okay. He's got plenty of lifesteal here, but what these games teach us is that we finally have the answer to Elise. With all these tanks into the top side, if you mitigate any kill pressure in most lanes, Elise can't find anything to do. Sure, Ambition with his level 2 invade did backfire, but was he realistically going to kill the Galio with a Maokai lane? No. Was he going to kill the Orianna with Cleanse? Not really. Bottom lane with Tom Kench, defensive lane against Thresh? No. So because there was no kill pressure, Elise doesn't get a whole lot. She didn't play it as well as you would have expected, and ROX Tigers get to have a Gragas that is infinitely more useful than this Spider.
Okay, we got the TP coming in on the minion that's being attacked by the turret, but Crown has come back. It's going to be a 5v5. Nice burst damage onto Sangyun to start. The ROX Tigers, after taking the turret and a bit of damage, will retreat for now. Just wanting to regroup. They still have this push down in the bottom lane that Samsung hasn't dealt with quite yet. Here we go. The follow-up coming on in. Lantern being taken, grouping up as 5, but Samsung has cleaned out the bottom side. Are threatening this 5v5. Cuvée in the front, looking for an engage path. Let's see what he can do. Cass comes out and doesn't do anything, so now they're really trying to lay down some damage for the fight. Cullen comes out, hits mostly Mighty Bear, fortunately. And, well, the ROX Tigers still have taken a bit of damage, and Lava is low on mana, so they decide, hey, let's take it slow. We're not going to try to force this. Much in the way that Samsung, if they lose a big fight there, if the ROX Tigers try to force it too much, they'll not be happy.
Even if Samsung win a fight there, there's not much that they can claim except control around the Baron and Vision. So it's important that ROX base is here if they want to prioritize that objective and start setting up. Because the base is already so damaged, they know that a Baron can result in up to 3 inhibitors for them and maybe even a game. So it's just not worth it for them. They take the safe recon. We can expect control wards out of the carries. Please, they have open inventories. Here we go. Wait. Come on.
He's thinking about it. He's like,
Lava doesn't have one.
I'm
not sure why. I guess he truly did not have
none
75 gold. None from Sangyun. That's just an open inventory slot at this stage. No.
There's no way that
guys.
There's no way that both of them don't have 75 gold. Like,
and there's only one control ward on the map. They don't. Wait, they don't have any control wards to place. Nobody has control wards.
And they only have 2 scanners, too. It's not like they're doing the SKT where it's like Faker gets the early scanner. Lava's still sitting on a yellow trinket at level 17. So relying mostly on normal wards. This one. Okay, Cuvée is just taking free damage. What's he doing out there? Although, as I say that, that stone plate is really going to help him out. Here comes that disengage from Cuvée, but Mighty Bear gets a little bit far forward. CoreJJ goes down, and Ruler, look at the damage out of Orianna. It's way too much. You can't fight her right now. And it looks like the ROX Tigers are now going to set their sights on Baron.
Key is still low, and so is Mighty Bear, so they're likely going to be trying to turn. There are still healthy members and teleports on Cuvée, so they can't go ahead and do that. But the vision doesn't matter if Samsung just want to face check you, so in the end, their vision or lack of vision control ends up benefiting them because Samsung face check. Here comes the Baron attempt, but there is Lindarang on the side. This is just like Smeb.
Here we go, the TP as well from Cuvée. There's still a big wave down in bottom side. They were convinced that the ROX Tigers were going for that Baron play, so still remains, I guess CoreJJ is going to have to be the guy that cleans up that wave.
He does have Abyssal Voyage to help out in this, and the Ocean Dragon regeneration from the Tigers is now keeping them in this fight.
Sangyun took blue. Is that a thing?
No.
Where the Xayah takes blue away from the Orianna?
No, it's not a thing. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess it is a thing, but not the type of thing that ROX wants to see. They've been taking away Lava's blue buffs all game.
So, without any vision control, ROX Tigers can't do anything here. They are truly reliant on Samsung, but Samsung have to do their part. They have to establish vision control that ROX Tigers will not be able to fully clear. And until they do that, they will be able to continue to walk in and do whatever they want. But look at this. A 4-man push that results in 1 shallow green ward is nothing impressive.
Yeah, and there's control wards in the Baron pit for Samsung. I mean, they know when this Baron is being started. And I don't think they're going to be making any more mistakes. You were talking about the face check by Kive before, and that's really what got them into trouble. But Samsung, if they can just deny the Baron with their vision and then just play it passively and try to bait out a tower dive perhaps, that would be nice for them. We'll see if ROX wants to channel a bit of their inner KT in this one.
Well, if they want to channel their inner KT, they will need 5 control wards on each individual member. Yeah. So they've got a long ways to go. There's no need for you to be a support and have a Crystalline Brazier or a Forbidden Idol at this stage in the game. You absolutely need that ward, but it got scouted out by the Hawk shot, so they know it's clear, so it's just a full-on trade.
Yeah, Baron for Elder Drake here. Down it does go. So, full-on trade, as you said. Not much action in that one. Just playing PvE are both of these teams.
Oh, but that's like a cop-out, though. Because if you're ROX, you are in the assertive position. You should not be trading. You can just be controlling the map. You can have both. But because they don't do any of the steps, literally none of the steps for vision, they resort to a trade, and they're probably stoked about it. They're like, oh, yeah, we got Baron. We can push now. But there's Infernal or an Elder on Samsung, which is only 1 stack, but it could be enough to make a difference in burning down these tanks that are so eager to be taking damage of the front line.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty big here for Samsung. They were 100% happy to take the trade, given what they were given, essentially. And it's very obvious that the ROX Tigers now are going for a big push on the top side. And Samsung, they're already setting up. 5 members up here. The bottom lane is pushing for the Tigers, but it is still a ways out. Or no, actually, it's pushing for Samsung as a big wave does crash in. So they'll be happy with that one.
Trade for Samsung is basically expecting no money on your tax returns. Turns out you got 50 bucks in there. Like, oh, yeah. I can have a nice dinner for myself now. Better than nothing.
So again, this push, I mean, is not doing much. The ROX Tigers, they pinged bottom a bunch of times, but nobody's going down there. All sights are set on the inhibitor. And again, I mean, the Baron will last longer than the Elder, so if they want to take it extremely slow, they can wait another 50 seconds.
I'm intrigued by Ambition's build here. You don't get to see it as the scoreboard has been minimized, but he has gone with full AP. He better start hitting some major carries.
Okay, here we go. The engagement, the shockwave is good. The follow-up is also fantastic. Crowd will be eaten up, but he is extremely low. Will dash away. Down he goes. Key is taken away, but really good taunt from the side, and all of a sudden this one is running away from Samsung. Ruler's going to be rooted as well. Does take the victory in that fight, but can he possibly stop this by himself with the Fed Lava? I don't think so.
No, no, no. There is a teleport. That is a 1v3 Ruler. I don't think he's got this, and ROX is going to take us to game 3.
Whoa, how have they done this? What a game, and Ruler, he knows it now. He can't get away with this one, no matter how hard he tries. He's extremely low, and he's actually giving the kill away as well. So there you go, 1-1 now. The ROX Tigers, they tie it up.
Ride or die, says Ruler, and Samsung, unfortunately, all of them die, and ROX Tigers even up the score against all odds. The 5-11 team contesting Samsung, which is trying to say that we're the best team, but losing here is far from it. Are those tears of joy? It could be. Perhaps incredible eye strain. Somebody get this man some eye drops.
Well, it's for me, it's tears of disbelief almost, as Samsung, I don't know what's going on in there. Why do they have trouble against some of these lower level teams? They lost to MVP. Now they're 1-1 against the ROX Tigers, and it's no longer this kind of far away idea of, yeah, I mean, there's always a chance that you lose to the lower level teams. Now it's straight in their face, like, okay, we need to play a best of 1 against a pretty decent team in the ROX Tigers. Yeah, they're 5-11, but that's an LCK against, you know, 5 or 6 of the strongest teams in the world. So it's rough. It's rough for Samsung right now. They shouldn't be too happy with their spot.
See, they were sloppy, but when we as spectators look at it, we can always say, oh, maybe they got cocky, but I don't think we've seen a single interview with teams actually claim to underestimate other opponents here in the LCK, and they legitimately just got outplayed. The ROX Tigers played well, their composition had synergy, whereas Samsung was all over the place. Ambition's early game was completely nullified, and it seems like Elise now is not as strong of a champion, and this is where it all began with the roam from Key on the left side. You don't expect this one, and right at the final seconds, it might have been worth it had he used his heal to try to get closer to Core JJ, but the repeat gank was where it all went even further down the drain. Even though the hook missed, look at just how much they blew onto this guy. The cask, the ultimate, that's 4 ultimates. If Key had bonks, he would have burned it on that one. And look, once again, just individual people from Samsung getting caught out. Their communication was lacking in what they were trying to do. It started with Crown being out of position a couple of times, but then it spread to the rest of the team.
And here's the key beat, right? You go into it, you bite that bait so hard, you're grinding your teeth as the rest of your team dies, and even though they do take out Key, they get that one target. They lose, I think, 3 members at the end of this.
Oh, yeah, because of the taunt from Lindarek. Check it out. As soon as Core JJ approaches, he says, I'm going to flash and get Tam Kench as well. So they get 2 for 1. You didn't expect that sale, and you didn't expect Cube to be face-checking you when you had 0 vision control. I did not expect this to be working out at all. The second I saw a team having that abysmal of control ward and vision control around the Baron, you just never imagined that it's going to pay off, but it did. Samsung just walked right into it instead of recognizing that, hey, maybe they just didn't place any vision.
Yeah, so pretty one-sided game at the end of it all. Ahead about 7,000 gold were the ROX Tigers, and almost tied there was Zaya versus Oriana. Lava having a good game there with Songyun as his sidekick, but it definitely was a team effort at the end of it all, as that front line of both Lindarong and the Mighty Bear coming in, and Key, of course, with his big plays on Thresh once again. So guys, we are going to take our final break of the night before we get into game number 3 of Samsung versus ROX. We'll see you in a bit.